Is commercializing sex going to make our intimate lives fulfilled, happy, beautiful? What do you think? Hi, this is Liana, Holistic Intimacy Coach. Welcome back to my channel. Here, I help you get your orgasmic intimacy. So I want to open up this discussion today in the context of coming across more and more OnlyFans models who are making gazillions of money. We're talking millions of dollars monthly. More and more outrageous stuff done in the communities. And more people turning their attention toward the commercializing of sex. So, if you don't know about Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips and the outrageous challenges that they do with being penetrated by hundreds or thousands of men in under 24 hours, or to be more precise, in under 12 hours, then that's one of the horrendous things that we're seeing. What we're also seeing is more and more OnlyFans models being communicated as barely legal or recruiting them at barely legal ages. This one's in the Bop House. Content creator houses, I've recently became aware of this phenomenon. Content creator houses are stuff made in the United States in correlation to the rise of TikTok. Their life span is somewhere between several months to maybe 1 or 2 years. And that's because there are many things. The creators themselves outgrow their community. Okay, they got to do some pretty simple stuff or sometimes crazy stuff or not so bright stuff. And at a certain point, those people, they get tired of that. So they just quit the house itself. At other times, the majority of their audience is drawn to other stuff. Okay, so the trend, the current, the whatever it was, just fades away. Or sometimes the people just bicker and fight so much because there are the content creator houses. Basically, you bring several content creators in the same space and they got to live together. And sometimes, just because you bring them because they're successful in their job, that doesn't mean their personalities match. So sometimes those people get, they butt heads enough that some walk away. And now what I found out about was the Bop House. It started in December 2024. And by now, so this is at the end of April 2025, they have on TikTok 3.5 million followers. And one of the girls there left because she didn't agree to the entire house recruiting an underage girl. Okay, somebody at the age of 17 was brought in there. So one of those girls said no. And now she has the Asian house. She was Asian. And apparently those women are making from their OnlyFans accounts, because this is the concept here. Girls who have, or young girls who have OnlyFans accounts, most of them are making somewhere around $1 million per month. And the favorite in that house was making $3 to sometimes $4 million per month. So there are obviously a lot of guys, or a lot of people, I'm not sure if there are women in their audiences, who pay for that content. A lot of people. And my train of thought is the commercializing of sex leading or conducive to fulfilling intimate lives? Genuine question. What do you think the answer is? And to add insult to injury, in a way here, not only is that house with one minor as of recently, but also one of the women content creators on OnlyFans who filmed herself with several thousand men penetrating her in under a day, and who also brags about being penetrated by father and son at the same time, and she thinks that's extraordinary because they have a close relationship. Now she goes into Bop House to train or teach those younger OnlyFans creators there to do the same thing she does. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see more and more of those, I wouldn't even call them freak shows at this point. I think I would call them extremely disturbed and deranged and sick freak shows. We're going to see more of that. Yeah. So what do you think? overall, boys and men who go to these places or support these creators, are they gonna hold or have or build beautiful, fulfilling, intimate relationships in their lives? What's your guess here? And what about women? When they see that other women get to sell content online and make millions of dollars in just a month, would women want to go and work regular jobs? Would women want to work for their families, build a family? What do you think? Genuine question. I would love to know your opinions here. My opinion is that, first of all, we don't know the psychological and medical implications of doing this kind of work. The medical aspect is for those women who are being penetrated by hundreds or thousands of men in under 12 hours. Okay? The medical impact of that is not yet known. The psychological impact of that is also not yet known. Let's say that you divide 1,000 men by 720 minutes. That's how many minutes are in 12 hours. So you get less than a minute per guy. What do you think happens to the woman herself? Meaning, what happens not after the first guy, but after the 357th guy? Do you think she's still as rested and as fresh as she was at the beginning? Do you think she needs to go to the bathroom? Do you think she has time to drink water, to hydrate herself? Do you think in those 12 hours maybe she gets hungry and she can eat? Do you think maybe there is time for her, if those dudes gotta penetrate her in under 1 minute, okay, without break, considering here, do you think she has time just to go and wash every now and then? Do you think the condom protects her from all the stuff that might come up? Do you think those people are checked with their medical blood tests or STI tests or whatever, reproductive health tests? And do you think those people can actually ask for tests to be done a few days before coming to the event and making sure or ensuring 100% that since they've taken the test and hopefully came out positive, they hadn't had sex with anybody else, so they didn't expose themselves to any risks of anything? Like, we don't know the psychological and the medical implications of these challenges. And now we're seeing people training others into this. I posted about this on all my socials, and one man commented under one of those posts saying that, in his opinion, it's not okay what we're seeing. However, there's no law prohibiting that, so there's nothing that people can do. So I asked him then, okay, got it. Yeah, the law never thought that people would willingly do these kinds of, what would you call these anyway? Like challenges. I think it's too small and too nice of a word for what it actually is. But anyhow, so nobody thought that women would willingly go through this. So yeah, nobody wrote laws for this. Okay, so right now we're in the gray zone. It's not healthy. This is still to be proven. However, just common sense, this is not healthy psychologically and medically on the woman subjecting herself to that, and also on the guys, because I don't know just exactly how many. Is it 500 or 600 guys? How many guys does it take to pass one STI through the woman from one guy to another? It's a question. It's a genuine question. So we actually don't have answers to those, but we can intuitively say this is not healthy. So I asked the guy, okay, legally, there's nothing we can do about it, but what do you think about, like, how many hundreds of men, from which number onward, is it a risk, a health risk? Also, what do you think about the fact that those women lie about their ages? So they say that they're much younger than they are, barely legal, most of them. Why do you think that is? Also, what about the fact that people are paying heavy money for this, instead of people supporting financially other industries, actually making society function properly. So his reply was something like this, which, by the way, he gave me an audio in private. He said something like general on the public post, but in private he sent an audio and he said something like this. First of all, I do wonder what kind of guys go to those women and stay in line to have a few seconds until the next guy needs to come in. Like, what kind of guys go to those places? Secondly, what happens to those women? Because, I don't know, do all those guys respect them? Fairly good question. An answer here. It was shown, I've read a lot of material online, how men who pay for escorts, they were questioned about their feelings, their thoughts. What came out was that they don't respect those women. They just pay for a service. They don't care about them. It's not that they really enjoy their company and that's why they pay for them. No. It's a tool. They don't really respect them much because they give themselves just for money. But hey, if that's what those women do, they'll pay. That's it. Forget about them. And lastly, he also mentioned in his answer, so the audio, that he had heard of an experiment done several years ago on hamsters or rats. They were hooked to these devices that would stimulate the rats. And they were doing that, so stimulating them, pleasure and orgasm, when the mice or rats hit themselves against the wall. And what the study showed in the end was that the rats hit themselves against the wall for pleasure until they died. So this guy concluded, yeah, we're probably going to degrade ourselves socially, relationally, as a society overall, up to the point where we become extinct somehow. It was a metaphor for him. For this very particular impulse, pleasure and orgasm or sex, we could go down the path of those rats, expose ourselves to more and more risks in order to get our hit, the pleasure hit, the orgasm hit, the release hit. So we're becoming like addicts, okay? That's one view that this guy had on the situation. Another person who interacted under that post, so we're talking Facebook here, okay? So we're talking people that I have there who are above 40 also. So a woman commented, she's a therapist and she works with teenagers. And she compared the stuff that I shared about OnlyFans to what happens to teens when they're exposed from early on to technology. Their attention span or attention deficit already, their ability to actually understand, okay, they may know how to read and write, but they can't understand what they're reading. A lot of them. So we see more and more functional illiteracy. More and more of that. And we're seeing more disinterest in learning, in thinking for themselves. Developing critical thinking skills is already, that one takes a bit of an effort these days, because it's so easy to just go and ask an AI or tap into something, access something very easy to respond instead of you doing the work, much like for sex, okay? It's so much easier to pay on one of those apps and get an instant access to whatever kind of videos, photos, whatever other content you're receiving, instead of putting in the effort to build a relationship with a woman. That one's harder. It's less convenient when you can just pay for somebody and that's it. So this woman, the therapist, she concluded that it's obvious that what is going on right now, all the amenities, quote unquote, that we have access to, are not making us more intelligent, wiser, are not making our lives more fulfilling. They're just making our lives more convenient, but convenient doesn't mean fulfilling. And probably we need to suffer more and more until more people wake up and realize, hey, this is not okay. Although people above 40 already realize this is not okay. But when we say these things, a lot of us younger here, okay, below 40, below 30, probably react like, you're just an older person, you're kind of, obsolete already, you don't understand, you don't know what you're talking about. That's how we, sadly, come across to younger generations. And we're just in our 40s, okay? We're not 50, we're not 60, we're not 70, we're not 80. Okay? We're just in our midlife. Midlife is not that much. In speaking of age, there are more advanced ages that we can live to. Sadly, there are some people who realize here that commercialization and commodification of sexuality isn't conducive to fulfilling intimate lives. But I'm not sure how many people, one, realize, two, the realization hits them so hard that they intentionally disconnect from those things because they realize, you know what? By the way, one of the things that access to porn has done to a lot of men, it causes them to have erectile dysfunction. So we're talking guys in their late 20s or early 30s who are probably performing less than dudes in their 50s or 60s. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? This is what it does. To be in your late 20s or early 30s and underperform another man who's in his 50s or 60s. Boy, that's sad. Boy, that is super sad. And it's not because you're not healthy physically. It's because of the easy access to porn. That's what it does. One of the things. Okay? Not to mention the inability to actually build a relationship with a woman. And I wonder, because I never actually speak to those guys, because they're just not in my circle. But I wonder if somebody asks them, hey, do you think you're going to be happy for the rest of your life with this kind of stuff? Are you actually going to enjoy your entire life and feel loved and all of that? Like, do you realize how important it is to have somebody to love and love you back? Yeah, relationships are not easy. But not being able to build any kind of relationship because you're watching that crap? What do you think? Is that better or worse? I would love to know. And this one's for the ladies. I don't know if there were any ladies here. Check out my Patreon community. Ladies, for us, I have a lot of practices aimed around sexuality, women's sexuality, aimed around purging emotions, because this one's not easy for us either. Okay? Knowing that women who sell their bodies, not their skills, not their intelligence, no, none of that, just images of their bodies, are making millions of dollars, whereas the rest of us who don't want to do that, who study years and years for a job, for a line of work that we believe in, we're barely making any money. This one is a very sick thing that, not just capitalism, but I think also the way society is tolerant to some of these things, but isn't supporting the people who actually they want to become doctors, they want to become teachers, they want to become scientists, they want to, I don't know, grow crops, become agricultures, farmers. Okay, there are people out there who want to do this, and society does need this. There are people who want to work in aviation or sailing. There are people who want to become athletes. Other fields of activity or work that do make our society beautiful, okay, make our lives beautiful or help us live good lives, they are not rewarded in the same way that selling our bodies is. So for women especially who want to build a career or want to make a living out of other things, not prostitution online, I know this one is tough. I really know it. And I also know that for women who would resort to OnlyFans because they have no other means to support themselves, are taken out by a lot of these girls. They come from well-off families. And they even say, I'm not doing this for the money. I don't need the money. I was born in a very good family. They're doing it because the opportunity is there. And I've seen a lot of guys and women saying, but this is taking away from women who have no other resort. They were not born in great families. They didn't have access to education. They couldn't make a living for themselves in any other way. And now they're overshadowed by these women who don't need it. But if for whatever reason people prefer them, those women are left without their income. I've seen this take also. I gotta be honest here. So ladies, I can understand. for all that kind of emotional charge, my practices might help if you resonate with me. If you want to check out those practices, they are audio. And yeah, you can discharge a lot of tension in order to think clearly and navigate the current world. So I'll see you in my Patreon community. For everybody else, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.